suburb, with fading streetlights and half-closed shops, there lived a man named Rami. He was 34, single, not rich, not poor. His life wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't moving either. It felt like a paused movie, the screen still on, but the story forgotten. Every morning felt like déjà vu. Wake up late, scroll the phone, skip breakfast, rush to a job he didn't enjoy, come home numb, exhausted, quietly guilty. He wanted more, but didn't know how to get there. Or worse, he didn't even know where there was. Rami wasn't lazy. He was just overwhelmed. Every video said, take massive action. Every book promised transformation. And every time he tried, he burned out. Vision boards, deleted apps, new journals, nothing stuck. Everything felt like shouting into a cave that never echoed back. That night, after another unproductive day, he sat on the edge of his bed. The room was dark, but his thoughts were loud. "Am I broken?" he whispered. Not out of drama, out of fatigue, years of quiet failure. Then something unusual happened, not outside him, but inside. A thought appeared. Maybe it doesn't have to be big to begin. Not a lightning bolt, not even a spark, but it was honest, and that made it powerful. Rami stood up. He didn't know what would change, but for the first time in years, he felt like maybe something could. Part 2. Hopeful, soft tone with quiet strength. The next morning, nothing looked different. Same sun, same street, same alarm, but something had shifted. Instead of hitting snooze, Rami sat up. Not fast, not heroic, just sat. For a moment, he listened to the silence. No notifications, no rushing, just breathe, just presence. He didn't grab a book, didn't meditate, didn't run. He made his bed. 2 minutes. That's all it took. But when he looked at it, something stirred in him. Pride. Tiny, but real. Later that day, everything was the same. Work, traffic, dinner. But when he came home and saw the bed, he paused. I followed through, he thought. Not for anyone, not for praise, just for him. The next day, he added one more thing, 5 minutes of walking. No gym, no gear, just sneakers and sidewalk. The day after that, he stood under the sky for 1 minute and just looked. It was absurdly small, laughable even, but he wasn't trying to change his life. He was trying to listen to it. Little by little, his focus shifted from fixing everything to showing up for one thing. And with every small act, Rami realized, maybe the life he wanted didn't require a revolution. Maybe it just needed him consistently. Two weeks had passed. Quiet, ordinary, but inside, Rami, everything was different. He didn't tell anyone, not because he was hiding something, but because, what was there to say? I made my bed. I took a walk. Who would care? The world celebrates big wins. Rami was collecting invisible moments, but those moments, they were doing something. He started noticing subtle things. His breathing when he wasn't rushing. The way sunlight landed on the kitchen table at 8:03 a.m. The texture of silence at different hours of the day. He wasn't changing the world, but for the first time, He was fully inside his life. One morning, while tying his shoes, he looked in the mirror. Something stopped him. Not how he looked, but how he was looking at himself. There was no judgment, just presence. And it struck him how long it had been since he had seen himself without a script. No self-criticism, no fake motivation, no pretending, just a man, tying his shoes, breathing. This is me, he thought, without the noise. And it didn't scare him, it grounded him. That evening, he picked up an old notebook, wrote just one question. If I were kind to myself, what would I do tomorrow? He didn't force an answer. He just closed the notebook and slept better than he had in months. Not because everything was fixed, but because finally he was listening to the right voice. Rami didn't wake up with a plan, no breakthroughs, no transformations, but that question still echoed. If I were kind to myself. He had always equated discipline with force, push harder, try more, endure pain. But what if kindness was discipline? That morning, he didn't chase goals, didn't optimize his routine. He just cooked breakfast. No podcast, no multitasking, just eggs, toast, and the sound of butter in a pan. He sat, he ate, in silence, not like a monk, but like someone who finally saw breakfast as part of living, not just something before real life began. Later that day, he passed a bookstore. Old habit said, "Don't bother, you won't finish it." But he went in, not for a self-help book. He picked a novel, fiction, something joyfully useless. That night, he read for 15 minutes, not to learn, not to grow, just to feel. And slowly, his life began to change. Not by doing more, but by choosing better. He started saying no, not to people, but to pressure, to the idea that he had to become everything all at once. And with every gentle choice, he reclaimed pieces of himself he hadn't even realized he'd lost. He wasn't escaping life anymore. He was building it, from the inside out. It happened on a random Thursday. No warning, no drama. Just a sound, a voice message from his mother. She'd sent it weeks ago. He hadn't listened. Not because he was angry, but because he didn't know how to answer anymore. How do you explain the distance between who you are and who they hoped you'd be? But that morning, he pressed play. Her voice was soft, gentle, full of little things. The neighbor's dog had puppies. His uncle's health was improving. She'd tried a new soup. Nothing urgent. Everything human. And as she spoke, something cracked open inside Rami. Not a breakdown, a remembering. He remembered being 16, full of promises. He remembered the college plans he never finished. He remembered how every time he failed, he didn't just feel like a failure. He felt like he was the failure. No one told him that, but silence speaks too. And so for years, he had carried it all, the guilt, the fear, the shame of not being enough. But now, sitting on the floor, phone in hand, heart still, he did something he hadn't done in a very long time. He cried. Not from weakness, but from release. No dramatic promises, no turning points. Just a quiet realization. Maybe he didn't need to earn his worth anymore. Maybe he was already enough. Tired, messy, trying. And maybe that was okay. That night, for the first time in months, he called his mother back. He didn't explain anything. He just said, "I'm here." It didn't get easier. That's the part no one says. There were still off days, still whispers in his head. You're behind. You're not doing enough. You'll never catch up. But this time, he didn't believe them. He still heard them, but like distant noise in a cafe. Still there, but no longer in control. His days were simple. Walks, quiet meals, books read without guilt. But they were his. Not borrowed, not forced. He didn't journal every day. He just lived, present, deliberate. One afternoon, he saw a boy on a bench, shoulders slumped like the sky was sitting on his back. Rami almost walked past, then stopped. He sat beside him, said nothing, just sat. After a while, the boy looked up. Rami smiled and said, "It's okay not to know. Just start small." The boy blinked, nodded, and they sat in quiet company. Rami was no guru, no influencer, no life coach, just a man who once forgot how to live and remembered. He didn't need applause or followers. He had found something better, peace, not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that grows when you stop running from yourself. So he kept walking, not toward a finish line, but forward. Every day, one small thing at a time.